Alright, it's another day, and it's a cold one, so I'm gonna just get to work on the front bumper and see what I can get done on the other side. All right, and we're done with this side as far as I can be. So this is a seat back, basically virtually unmodified. I am going to cut those little two end tubes off there once I have this off, just because I don't like that all that much. But it ended up making sense to just weld it to the end of the beam here, and then this piece slid into the tube and was notched slightly to fit there, and then I cut a pie cut out of there so I could hammer this over so I could bring it in so there wasn't that corner sticking out. Basically the same idea here, cut this tube to fit, rounded it this way over here, cupped it on this end so it fit in there properly, and the same thing. This needs a little bit better cleanup here, but it's okay for now. I may fill this in over here either by putting a tube in there. I may slice a tube in half and just set it in there to make it look like it's a complete tube. Haven't decided on that, and I'm going to wait till I get the rear done before I start wasting tube like that. But I also plated here, so took a plate, drilled 2 holes in it, and then you saw me loosen this kind of, it's not tucked up underneath, but because of the curve of the edge, it's tucked right up in that curve. Bolted this down, bolted that down, welded them together, so this is all much more stable here, and then gusseted here. So this is now rock solid on this side. It doesn't move at all. I can move the car more than I can move it. This side over here still has some flex in it because right now there's just one tack holding that corner on. So I think I've reached this side is as done as it can be with it on the car, because I'm going to take it off and weld the back side of things and do some cleanup and stuff once I've done that. Like this needs more cleanup, these need cleanup, this needs cleanup, but I'm going to do that all at once I know I've gotten everything welded. Now on this side, I temporarily put the plate here just to have a place to put it. It just ended up being the easiest spot. I don't think it's going to live there permanently, but I need to do that lower plate on this side as well as that gusset to sort of finish that area off. The plates, it's probably going to end up over here is my suspicion, but I'm not sure. I don't want to put it in sideways like this long term because that's just a cop magnet. Like, it's just one more thing on this incredibly weird car for a cop to have an excuse to say, hey, your plate's mounted wrong. So if I have the plate mounted horizontally over here, I think that should be fine. I've got the basic thing built at this point. Now we're in the aesthetic. I'm going to do that later when I'm not filming because it's going to be the same as this, except easier. But now I can start worrying about some of the aesthetics of more than just the shape of it. So let me go get some junk. Bin of steampunk. That is my bin of cyberpunk stuff. This is, see those later. This is just all kinds of random crap that I've picked up. I've got a ton of cord and wiring. I managed to pick up a cheap oil cooler. That's going to be one of the things that's going to go in the front here. Weird license plate frames, warning stickers, all kinds of stuff for the inside and the outside. So, oh, hey. Oh, wow. Look at this, suckers. I forgot I got these. So I was at the MIT Swap Fest, which is basically a swap meet / flea market for electronic junk. And most of this wiring came from one very cool dude. He works for a robotics company, and all of this is cabling from prototype robots that is all now irrelevant because they're not using that particular custom cabling anymore. So I got a ton of just wire and cabling stuff for a very good price. Turns out when you tell people you're doing really weird shit, they're into really cool weird projects, they're more than happy to help you out. So this, I have 3 of these big honkin' cables. Probably some pretty good scrap, actually. I think I may have paid less for those than they're worth in copper scrap. But one of the other things I have, grab it. Yeah, right in the bin because I was looking for screws that fit on top of it. This is a giant honkin' capacitor, I believe. I think this is for like the really insane car stereo systems. I picked this up at a local scrap yard that I am absolutely going back to because they have just the weirdest collection of shit. They're not a car scrap yard, they're just scrap yard, but the guy puts away all the interesting stuff that he finds, puts aside all the interesting stuff he finds. So this, it's got a little display and stuff. There's no way I'm going to be able to make this work that I know of because I'm pretty sure this capacitor is dead, and the way it's assembled, I don't think I can get in there without destroying this. But it's a cool looking thing that I can, like, you know, that can end up there maybe or something, you know, or in here or something. Which I really do like it there. That's actually really cool if I can just like strap it there. But it's got these 2 big honking terminals on the top. And I just realized these big honking wires can go on these big honking terminals. Then the other end of this is a similar terminal, but it's got this like boot cover on it. I'm gonna have to remove their stickering. I'll do that later. But that means that I can, like, say, mount this here. Actually, mount this here and then run these up and like lash them to this and then have them go up and attached somewhere up on the fender. And what does that do? Fuck, I don't know, but it looks cool. Which is really the whole point of this entire endeavor. You're getting to watch me design on the fly. Yeah, so that's mounted there. I have a plate here. Maybe I don't want that exactly there. Maybe I want it on the other side. But that general idea of this big thing here, the cabling that comes out of it and runs up the side of the body and then plugs in somewhere up there, really. And then, like I said, I've got the oil cooler here, which I'm thinking about. I could do that, or because the bottle is caged on the other side, what probably makes the most sense is to have this be caged on this side. So make some mounts to hold that there. And actually, yeah, if I move this to the other side, I can have these cables running up, doing something there, and on this side I can have the hoses off of this come up and out and go in somewhere. But you can see the kind of thing I'm sort of going through. It's just going to be a bunch of shit going on here. I've been looking for some sort of like ruggedized box or something to mount as part of this also, because I want that kind of thing up here. I've got some LED little 3/8 inch or 3/4 inch marker lights that I'm gonna make little tabs to mount near the ends of this. These bolts are gonna eventually have a fog light, maybe. Though not, if I put other stuff here, maybe not. There's also Oh, there's a bolt in there, so I can mount 2 fog lights there, or a light bar. But I want to busy it up. I want to have a bunch of shit going on, and most of it kind of just weird and strange looking. But that's going to need a mount. This is going to need a mount. It actually looks the right size for that space. That's really interesting. So I can punch a hole through up here to run one cable out. The other one come out over there. And then maybe I'll run them up the fender and down into the engine compartment, or maybe I'll run them along here and in. Huh. I think for now, I'm going to run the hoses up here and just tuck them into one of the holes here, because it's just going to be a loop. This is not going to be attached to the engine because I don't need extra oil cooling, and this is a little too risky for oil cooling, given, you know, I'm driving on the street. But I'll just run them in the loop in and hide it up in here so it's not obvious that it's a loop. And then later when I do the lights, I'll probably move it to go to somewhere else. Yeah, so it's gonna need brackets. Yeah, just some simple tabs, a couple of bolts. It doesn't need much, but it fits that space really, really well. Like, it's just a little off, but it's so close it looks right. I can so easily just float that in among this weird shape, because this looks like a guard, but it's an odd looking shape for a guard too. All right, new day, and I went to the swap meet this morning. Still trying to sell the wagon. Had no luck there, but did find some stuff for this project. I've been talking about wanting a sort of box thing for the front radar, and this is what I found for a whopping $4. This has got a really cool and interesting shape that looks sort of weird and futuristic that I think will work just fine, and it's a little awkward to get it in this spot, but it fits in this spot pretty well, and I can do some modifications to make it fit better. It comes out easy. So obviously I'm going to want to remove all the lettering from the front. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to repaint it or not. I think that largely depends on how it cleans up. But I do want to remove this side panel, even though it'll be pointing down, because it makes it obvious that it's an amp. So I'm going to replace that with something that's got some sort of plug inputs or something in it, but doesn't look obviously like an amp. Let's see if I can do this in reverse as easily. Nope. How did that come out so flippin' easy when it's such a pain to get in? There we go. Right at the moment, this is where it fits, and I want it to fit down lower because I don't want it to be covering that bar, and I want it to be back a little bit. I want it to be tight against the beam, but right now it interferes right there with the reinforcement I put in the other day. I guess I can cut the reinforcement out and move it if that's really what it comes down to, but it'd be nice not to have to. I think it's just going to come down to what ends up being easier, because yeah, so that needs to get modified, but then that's going to get mounted somewhere in that general vicinity, hopefully a little down and a little bit back so that it's not level with the front of this. And then in the same batch of stuff, I picked up these two little just like stainless steel vent things. They're not going to go on the front bumper, but they probably are going to go somewhere else on the car, maybe on the hood or the side or whatever. But they're just neat looking little weird things. It cost me $1 for the pair. And then my really entertaining purchase, which is not going to come into play right now, but I'm just showing it, is this. This is literally like $10, take the whole thing. And this is just completely full of these little old school rocker switches. Like every single one of these, with rare exception, is that there's a few other odds and ends. I have to figure out what these are. There's some sort of relay, I assume, but I don't know what yet. I'm going to go find out. But yeah, it's just that switch over and over and over and over again. And I was going to buy some switches for interior aesthetics, and I liked these kinds of rockers. I was going to buy ones that were about this size with this, but you know, in this style. but they were like 2 something a pop. So the fact that I just got these for what, somewhere between 50 and 25 cents a pop, I'm sure, makes that all well worthwhile. Also some wire and some other, you know, who knows what else. There might be some other things in here that are useful, but this was just too good. Oh, hey, that's one of those bigger switches. I have a couple more of those, but this is just too good a deal to pass up. $10 to get just an absurd amount of switches. Now I can have just a truly ridiculous switch panel with all these lit up. So that was a fun haul. So yeah, fun little accessories. I'm really glad especially to have found this, because that was kind of the last big piece that I needed to design this front bumper around. So now that I've got one, I can finalize everything, and that means I can get this thing into primer and paint and be done. TM. All right, I've basically got this how I want it. So this is mounted. There's, so you saw I cut 2 brackets and welded them to the back of this, or to the plate here, the beam, can't talk today, and then have it bolted in the 4 corners. So that's going to hold that there. And then I have to finish it up, but the original plate here that had all of this stuff coming through it, I retained, cut out a section big enough for this big connector to fit in. There's a hole that used to be one of these retainer screws that held these in, that I'm going to use a small drill a hole in the clip, and then put a screw in to retain it. These 2 here are, where's the other end of one? Like this. And these 2 holes that held the RCA plugs, I drilled them a little bigger so these would slip through. And then on another couple cables, I cut this end off and used it to secure the other end. I'm going to go through and redo it and take this cable and just loop it and have it be both, so that I can feed this cable up into somewhere and secure it in place. And then that frees up this cable to get used somewhere else later if I want to. And then, so that's just going to like kind of disappear up into here somewhere. It's a shame to do that much work, but I wanted some more connectors here. And then all of this really colorful and interesting wire, I'm going to bundle using small zip ties or something so that it's all together. And then I'm going to run this like along here and like up here and in somewhere in there, probably, just because that'll look really cool with all the colors. And then this got mounted here. It's going to get, it may get rotated a little in the final version so that this is pointed up a little bit more, but for now it's okay. These band clamps are a little too big, so there's a piece of the corrugation that was connecting these before is now folded a couple times and crammed behind there. And there's a, you can see the bracket, this is well, and these are going to run along here and then get secured to the fender somewhere over there. So yeah, I'm really happy with all of how this has come out. This is going to look amazing. This looks really right there. The cable's running to and from it. Yeah, that got mounted, though I'm not entirely happy with the brackets, so I may redo them. But I think for now, all the stuff I want to put on here is on here. I was talking about putting fog lamps in here, but now that there's so much stuff in here, I probably won't. Maybe I'll do one here or something. But at this point, it's all designed. It's all, the main fabrication is all done. I'm gonna have to do a little bit better job with the plate here. And then, of course, like I've said before, the whole thing has to come off, and the backside of everything has to get welded. And like I need to kink this inwards a little bit, but that's going to be easier from the back. But yeah, I think that looks amazing. I mean, it looks weird, and that's exactly what I want. So I'm really happy with how that's all come out. I think that's all looks really amazing. This really came together great. This is really this isn't specifically what I wanted it to look like, but this is the look I wanted, which is much more important, obviously. It's gonna need, like I said, a bunch of welding. It still needs a bunch of cleanup and grinding and whatnot to just sort of clean things up, make them look the way I want. So I'm not gonna film that because it's just gonna be a lot of redundant grinding and welding and grinding and welding and grinding and welding. But once I have it how I want it to look, I'm going to put it in paint, and then it's going to come back up and get bolted up onto the car. The paint job on it is going to get weathered. I'm going to do that in the weathering video though, not in this video. Alright, next day. I'm a little rushed because we've got people coming over, but I managed to get this all welded up last night. And then today I just finished spraying epoxy primer as thoroughly as I can on it. There's a bunch of little weird crevices and stuff I can't get the paint into that I'm going to have to either brush paint or whatever. But this is the base layer of epoxy primer to sort of seal the steel. And then the top stuff can go on top of this. But as always, you put the paint on and you can suddenly see all the stuff you missed. Like some of my grinding kind of sucks. There's a slice right through there. Little things like that. And I haven't decided if I'm going to go back and fix them or not. But for right now, at least, this is done. And this means it isn't bare steel. The amp, I tried to take this logoing off and it won't come off because it's like anodizing or powder coating or something, the whole thing is. So I just washed it really thoroughly and scrubbed it, and you can see the aluminum's sort of corroding or blooming or something under it. So this is going to have to get scuffed down and painted out. So I'm going to just take these logos off, but I'm going to end up having to paint that, but that's okay. But yeah, this is going to sit out here and dry. Of course, I have to touch it because I'm very bad at that. And it's still, yeah, a little tacky, but it's setting up. This was such a pain to try and paint. And even now seeing some spots that probably don't have enough on them. Just angles sucked. And this is the best I could find for a stand for it because it's too heavy to hang. Except from like the rafters in the garage, at which point I would coat everything in the garage in a very thick coat of paint. But it's good enough for now. That's going to sit and dry. That's going to sit and dry while I figure out what I'm doing with it. The capacitor thing, that logos that were on it were on a plastic sleeve that's actually on it, so I had to cut that off. Discovered some blooming in the aluminum underneath it, so I scuffed that. Give the whole thing a shot with clear coat, so hopefully that won't corrode immediately. So that's ready. This, I'm just going to put some, I'm going to pull these off and I'm going to put some aluminum tape across the whole thing to just cover these other holes and whatnot, because it's the underside, nobody's really going to see it, so I mostly just want to seal it so like it doesn't become a beehive or wasp nest or something in there. And then maybe this evening I will get the paint, more paint onto that, and I'm going to do some paint work here as well to just kind of make this look a little bit better. This was the original deflector that deflected air from the grills on that into the radiator. Some cutting and hacking, and I managed to use it to block off that side so that there isn't a straight shot for water and trash and whatnot right to my belt and AC compressor and whatnot. That side I'm probably going to do something similar, but that side's less dire because there's not like something really vitally important directly behind it. So the inner fender on this side has been zip tied up here, and then I need to do more with it. Like I think it's going to get a hole punched in it and zip tied to that. There's supposed to be something there to hold that, and then I may then come in and like just take this corner off a little to make it a little less obvious, but I want that there. I still have to put the fender liner on the other side and do that. But we're getting real close here. We're getting shit knocked off, and this is going to look amazing when it's done. All right, check this out. I decided to go with basically industrial safety orange because I had this, it's actually Capri orange over there. I tested a little bit of it and I liked how that looked and said, screw it, I'm going to do that. You can see the masking because I painted the bumper bar flat black and then masked it off so that I can get the orange on there. That little bit that is exposed doesn't matter because that's going to be hidden behind this thing. This is that amp. The logoing, unfortunately, couldn't be removed. So what I ended up doing was sanded down the logoing a little bit, sprayed the whole thing graphite silver, and then came back in and scuffed the hell out of that with some sandpaper, which gave me this really cool beat look with the red bits exposed and whatnot. Then I went back in because the logoing was still visible even after sanding. That looks really cool. This looks really cool. I don't know how much it shows up on camera, but the painting is inconsistent and there's marks and drips and stuff in it. I don't care that it's got those marks and stuff because I want it to look beat up, so I wasn't worried about getting it perfect, because anything that looks really shitty I'll just sand or wear or whatever. Unfortunately, I didn't realize until after I flipped it over that there's a lot of dirt on this piece of cardboard and that I missed the piece of cardboard on that side. So I may have to clean up that back edge and just give it a quick reshoot, but I'm not worried about that. So this is going to sit, I'm on lunch right now. This is going to sit and dry, and then as soon as I'm done work today, it's going to get bolted up, hopefully for the last time, and then I can start adding all the stuff to it and getting ready to, get that all done. And then, like I said, the weathering of it's going to happen in another video. These here, this section here and this section here, I need to get some rubber strips for, like it's a push bar, just mostly to cover all those holes. So I need to locate that, but I haven't yet. There's definitely, the one thing that's frustrating me is after I prime it with the epoxy, I can see a lot of places where like my weld sucked or my grinding of the weld sucked or whatnot. But if those really bother me down the line, I can always go back and fix them and just touch that spot up like it got repaired at some point. But I'm really happy with that. That looks really cool. And I think the orange is going to go really well with the blue on the car. All right, it's after work. Unfortunately, it's after the switch from daylight saving, so it's pitch black at 5 o'clock. But we're going to get the painted bumper on, and I'm going to get as much of the stuff attached to it. I think I should be able to get most of it in place. There's going to be some bits and pieces I'm going to need to acquire. But yeah, let's get that going. All right, I am loving how this is coming together. So I've got this mounted. I put a piece of tape on the panel that was under here to cover the other holes. These are secured in there properly. This is now the single cable that just loops around, and the other end of it is just literally stuffed in there. And then the wiring is secured all the way around, and it goes around and goes up in the fender, and then the end of the plug is just zip tied up in there so it doesn't get lost. And then this is mounted. I had some like corrugated aluminum that I was using as a spacer in the back, which vanished. So what I did was took a bit of extra coax cable and cut like a length, and it's looped in behind inside this to just take up the extra room so that this is nice and tight and secure. And then this is secured along here. I'm going to change this out. I don't like this a lot, mostly because you can see all the ends of the zip ties. So I'm going to go looking for some kind of like professional cable clips to replace that with. But for now, it does the job just fine. But this runs over here, and these are going to run up onto the fender, and they're going to get secured, like, that's going to get secured there, and the long run's going to get secured above it. They have another, how can I show you? They have one, just another lug end. So what I think I'm going to do, this is why I'm holding this piece of aluminum, is, sorry for the not great lighting, but yeah, this is going to get mounted somewhere over here, and then like this cable is going to loop around and attach to it, and then this longer cable is going to loop further around and attach to it like it's a, you know, and this is going to have some screws, so like that's the plate that these are intended to go on, so they don't just screw into the fender. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner and neater. I think that'll look really cool without much effort. This is just a piece of aluminum strap that I just rounded the edges on. And then I have these things, these vents, and like maybe there, maybe up here. I think that's this future me worry. And then the license plate is just kind of zip tied on there. I don't super like that, but where I had it tucked in here, it blocks not just sort of the end of the letter, but it blocks the date sticker, which is definitely going to be something I'm going to get shit from a cop if that's covered over so they can't see whether the sticker's in date or not. So I put it here for now. I think it may end up here on top of this, like floating in this area, but this is just to get it on there and get it out of the way. Yeah, I think I'm done for right this moment, just because I need more supplies. I need to go get some hardware for mounting that, because I don't think I have anything good in my stash anymore. I need to figure out the best way to get these rubber things to stay in place. Hopefully they'll just kind of do it on their own, but I need to look and see if I can find something to replace that to hold that down. I need hose for the thing. I need some clamps for it. I need the rubber for here. So I'm trying to decide if I'm done for the night or not. I don't think I'm done for the night. I think I'm enjoying this too much. I don't want to be done. But I do want to go see if I can find some stuff. So I think that's the next step, is go check the time, and if I can, go do a shopping spree for the extra stuff I need, and if it's too late, then I'll clean up and call it for the evening. Alrighty, so I'm making the plate to mount the ends of those two cables to the fender. This is a piece of just that aluminum, strapping that's up there. It's for some repairs on the van I haven't gotten around to, and I've marked the same distance on either end and in, so I can put 4 holes in, which are going to be where my mount screws go. And then similarly, I'm going to measure and mark 2 spots for the 2 bolts for the lugs to go through. And then I got myself some of these Allen head, not button, whatever the heck these are called, I forget. But they just look like they were going to be interesting hardware. They should be kind of cool and more interesting than just a regular bolt. So I should have that done shortly and be able to bolt that on pretty quick. Alrighty, and there we go. I really like the look of that. Having the plate there really just makes that way more finished looking than it would be if these were just attached on. And then I also added the high voltage sticker. But yeah, I really liked it. I think this top one should be cranked down just slightly. I think it's up a little too far, but overall very, very happy with that. I mounted up the oil cooler. I got new hardware for it. This bolt is doing nothing, but it just helps with the symmetry. I didn't like the fact that there was just nothing there. I'm really not happy with the brackets being orange, but I don't like them being black either, so I'm not sure what to do right now. But I drilled this out, comes through there. I hit that with gray to look like primer, because I wanted this to look like it was modified later. And then for right now, these just loop around and they're just stuffed in there and zip tied to something. Once I've done the custom grill, those are getting routed somewhere else, but that was just a for now. So yeah, I'm really liking how this is coming together. Something else that I grabbed these stair treads that have got like a rubber diamond plate pattern, because I think those will look really good there. Just obviously, you know, trimmed to size. So I think I'm going to do that, and then I think I'm going to call it for the night. And that is done. I really like that. It both finishes out those bars, covers up all the random holes in them, and also just makes it look that much more sort of purposeful. So this bumper is done for right now. The only thing I wish I had done right now is I wish I had the sticker that I want to put there. All the fabrication's done. These are all the accessories that are going on it right now. I'm sure I will add more stuff later. And I am so happy with how this has come out. This looks all really cool. I'm really digging it. It's exactly the kind of thing I was hoping for. So yeah, I'm done on this until I get to the point of weathering it, which I'm going to do as part of a whole weathering of the vehicle. So I'm going to wait till I get a little bit more fab done for that. Holy crap, that looks good. I'm just, oh, so cool. This is the image I had in my head, more or less, and it came out exactly as cool as I'd hoped it would. Like, it's got that really aggressive and strong, but it's also got that sort of weird and strange look to it that I really wanted. So I am so happy with how this has come together, and it looks amazing. This whole build is just so good. So anyway, I'm going to call that it for now. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.